Hi everyone, I am Shamika, the host of Let's Talk with Shamika, where we discuss real life situations and solutions. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Remember to subscribe, like, hit that notification bell so you'll know each time I upload new content. Yeah. Today we are discussing friendships in marriage. How do you feel about your spouse having a best friend of the opposite sex? So if you all don't know by now, I am big on marriage in that I believe marriage is a very serious institution. It's not a place for kids. It's not a place where you come to play, do what you want, as you want, when you want, because it's a place where you have to make compromises. It's just an all-adult space. So if you know you're not adult or you're not mature enough, marriage is not about the pretty clothes they put on the day of your wedding and all the people that come and all the gifts that they get and all the pictures you took and oh, you look so beautiful. No, that is not what marriage is about. That is the wedding day you're talking about there. So I want to know, what do you guys think? Drop a comment in the comment section. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about your spouse having a best friend of the opposite sex? No, I just didn't want to come and talk about that and, talk about me and what I thought and no. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to call some people. So I got on my phone, I started to call folks, I sent out text messages. I actually met up with people on the outside and I started to ask questions. And I don't know if this would surprise you, but the response was nearly unanimous. Because everybody said that they weren't comfortable with that. I mean, people gave a little variation or a little explanation along the way, but across the board, generally speaking, no, people weren't comfortable with that. You would be surprised to know, or probably you would not be surprised to know, that the men said that no, they didn't want their wives to have a best friend in the opposite sex. But they thought that it would be nice if their wives allowed them to have best friends that were females. One of them in particular was talking about, men are hunters. I had to be mad to make my wife have a friend of the opposite sex. No. I'm not in that. Yeah, I'm not in that. I'm not settling for that. And he went on. He said, I know how a man is. I am a man. And I have to be foolish to sit down and think, it's okay with that. It's okay to have my wife have a man as a best friend. And most of the men spoke in that manner, in that same intonation. Like I heard a bit of rage, a bit of jealousy, a bit of hurt, a bit of so much. And I think I needed to say that because there are so many people hurting. But what is interesting anyway is the fact that they thought, even though they didn't want it, they didn't mind if their wives allowed them to do it. I know people that say men just give and can't take. That just back up the theory, right? Because they don't want that for themselves. But they don't mind if their wife have no problem with them having that kind of relationship with a female. A best friend relationship with a female. But the woman on the other hand, the women were more expressive. And one woman in particular, she said to me, if that had to be the case, she said, I don't want that. I don't like that. I don't think that is ideal. But if that must be the case, then must be our best friend, not his best friend. She said, because to me, it's just not wise. We know that women form emotional bonds. And a best friend suggests that there's some sort of intimacy. Because if you're a best friend, they know plenty things about you. Sometimes you and your husband get away or tell your girlfriend or, you go and talk things, and especially women, you go and talk stuff and stuff you're not even supposed to talk. So if my husband's best friend is a woman, what will actually be going on is that every time me and my husband have a disagreement, he goes and he confides in this woman. She said, and women could be real conniving, could be real misleading at times. I mean, mind you, both men and women could be the same way. She said, but we women have a special strength. We have superpowers. We can make things happen. We could twist. You know, and she went on to say all what women could do. All right. And she said, with all of that said, nah, if she is my husband's best friend and she don't like me, she could influence my marriage. She will become just like a mother-in-law who does interfere and meddle. The only thing is this relationship have the potential to become sexual. And I have seen this happen so many times. So for me, if he has to have a best friend that is a female, then it must be our best friend. You know, another woman pinpointed that a man is turned on by sight. So a man could go with a lady, sleep with a lady that he's just physically attracted to. And if you have a best friend, most likely you would have an emotional attachment. You would have shared secrets, joys, sorrows, all of that, because best friends do these things. So now it gives the relationship even more power, even more possibility to become a sexual relationship. Because if you could sleep with a woman that is just physically attracted to, much more for a woman who is not just physically attracted to, but he shares an emotional connection with, because they spend time together. He may admire some of her ways, you know, and all it takes is just one time, one moment of weakness, and that's it for them to go overboard. So she said, you know, people must exercise wisdom in whatever they do. She said, the heart of man is wicked and evil, desperately wicked above all things. Who can know it? And we know that the Bible said that, right? So she built her point even further on that. She said, you don't know what people have in their minds. You don't know, sometimes they start off innocently, but because of the laws of attraction and all of that, it could end sexual. So why expose yourself to something like that? Why put yourself in a position to have yourself tempted like that? She said, no. My husband's best friend is me, and I am my husband's best friend. And, you know, most of the women went down that path. They weren't in for it, they weren't having it, they're not going to consider it. Well, most of them, you know, as they were part of the friendship. And so I asked my husband, I said, babe, what do you think about that? What do you think about I having a best friend as a man? And he was like, no. And I'm not angry with him, I'm not vexed, because I feel the same about him having a best friend as a woman. Because as stated before, some of the points are really legitimate. They are good points. And why put yourself in an unnecessary position? Now, I must say that there are circumstances and situations that you may have to handle a little differently. In that, you remember, it have some friendships that were formed from childhood. So, you know, it's not just easy it's not easy as 1, 2, 3 to say, well, okay, I don't want that, you know, you have to end a friendship, you know. I'm not comfortable with that. And it's okay anyway for a wife to say she's not comfortable, or a husband to say he's not comfortable with a relationship. As a matter of fact, I think it's healthy. If you're not comfortable with something, you could say that you're not comfortable with it, be able to express how you feel, especially in marriage, because we know communication is a big thing in marriage. So I'm quite okay with that. But for me personally, I think if something affects my spouse greatly, or affects him rather, I would seek to make some sort of adjustment to accommodate. I am not saying to get rid of your friends. I am not, that is not what I'm trying to say. That is not what I'm saying. Remember, you doesn't just get up one morning and have a happy marriage. Marriage is work, marriage is commitment, marriage is time. You know, it's not just like whoosh, like on a fairy tale and it's happily ever after. No, it's not like that. What you're putting is what you get out. And this is a relationship that you want to work on, because this is a lifelong relationship. As I say, this is connected to your soul salvation. I always say that. So, you know, you have to be so careful in choosing a partner. And even when you are there, you have to work. You have to work with it. Sometimes you have to sell your peace for your rights of peace. And I'm not one to tell people always sell your rights of peace, because it's going to backfire. You know, if you keep selling your rights of peace, one day your rights going to run out and you'll still have no peace. But there are times that you have to come to a compromise. And if it's going to improve your relation in a marriage, adjust it. If it's not anything that goes against your religious beliefs, against who you are as a person, it's against all that you stand for, then change it. Because at the end of the day, it's not your best friend you're going home to. You're going home to your spouse, right? You're going home to reach your spouse, and you, trust me, you want a happy home. You don't want a home where it always are quarreling, where it always are fighting, where it's a discomfort. Make your home your heaven. It's supposed to be like that. When you come home, a place of peace and happiness. You're glad to come home. Not you don't want to come home. You know, it's a heaviness when you come home. It's always stress. Sometimes you just need to do what will benefit your marriage. I'm not speaking about, you know, it has some people just like to dictate your pace, straight and nice it. No. I'm talking about two mature people sitting down, watching at a situation and weighing it. And I am telling you, right? I don't think it's wise to run into a relationship or to develop a best friend relationship with somebody of the opposite sex, especially while you are already in a marital relation. Because you're really exposing yourself. You're taking a great risk, and an unnecessary risk. The chances are that it becomes sexual is a high one, because it's human beings you're dealing with. It's human beings. It's people with feelings, people with emotions, right? So there's a great possibility something could happen between you guys. And I know I have good male friends. And when I say good, I mean real good male friends. But you know what I realize? That the male friends I have, I'm also very good friends with their wives. As a matter of fact, I am better with the wives than the men. I have a very good friend. I met him in college. And people may have thought otherwise, that we were just best good friends, you know. And, you know, he told me sometime, he said, you know, you and my wife are better friends than me and you were initially my friend, my good friend, and you and my wife are better friends now. And in two cases, it's the same thing. So it's not that you cannot have good friends that are male, but when you talk about best friend, it's a whole different level. To have a good friend and to have a best friend is different. It's two different things. A whole other word you add into that. Not just friend, but best friend. It suggests that there is some sort of intimacy, some sort of closeness, some sort of preference. A best friend might be a person that you trust with your secrets. You could tell them anything, they understand you, you understand them, or you could tell each other anything. You really just have to be careful with that. You have to be careful with that. I mean, I tell you be careful, and you just need to know for yourself that you need to be careful. Don't expose yourself that way. To me, it's unnecessary exposure. It's unnecessary headache, potential headache. So don't give yourself that stress. And if you're already in the position and your spouse don't like it, please consider making some sort of adjustments. Because at the end of the day, that is your spouse. And you know what? I could sit down here, hold hand, we could discuss and talk about all of this. And they may not be able to meet anywhere with it. What I would suggest is that you put these things to God in prayer. Prayer is very powerful. Prayer is important in a marriage. Prayer is the glue in marriage. If you were to ask me, prayer is the glue. So see God's face. And you decide at the end of the day what is more important. Which relationship is more important? Which relationship are you willing to give? Which relationship are you willing to make the compromises for? You know, too many people are willing to make sacrifices for other relationships rather than their marriage, right? Some of you all want to impress friends, impress your spouse, impress your husband, impress your wife. That is the relationship you should make the impression on your children, how you treat your wife, how you relate to your husband. That is the person you really need to impress before you can go out and impress anybody else and befriend anybody else, be nice to anybody else. Be nice to those inside of your house. Don't be hypocritical about it and consider each other's feelings. Right? If you are willing to give up your marriage, if you are willing to let your marriage slide by, well, what can I tell you? But then again, everybody have different point of views and opinions on this topic and most topics. So feel free to leave me a comment. Let's interact. Tell me what you think about it. If you think I was being biased, tell me. Tell me if you think that, you know, I should have mentioned this and I did not mention it, or I was leaning to one side more than the other side. Tell me. That's what we are here for. So I pray that this little discourse would have helped somebody And I really pray that you make your marriage a priority. You know, that is something to prioritize. So if something is upsetting your spouse, so upsetting to your spouse, and it doesn't, as I said, go against what you believe, your religious persuasions, or you as a person, your entire conscience, this is not once it's not absolutely opposite to who you are, then it's okay, make the change. Make the change. Right, so may God bless you. May God bless your marriages. Those of you who are intended to go into marriage, it's a beautiful thing. It's a lot of hard work, but there are many wonderful rewards. Don't be sidetracked by all the negativity around and all the people who say that marriage is this and marriage is that. Marriage is a gift from God, so it's a good thing. And if you decide to stay single, it's also a good thing. So may the Lord bless you in whatever situation you are in. May He bless you and keep you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and give you grace in your homes and in your hearts. God bless. I spoke about burying your marriage with your mouth, and I'll leave a link to that in the descriptions. Check it out.